Hey folks, Zoe Flowers here. So this time we're going to do a tarot story time, and this is actually in response to Bronia K's Taking It Back to Tarot. So this is my second challenge in 2 days. I'm excited. I'm really wanting to be more a part of the tarot community in YouTube. And so I'm looking at my notes. That's why I'm looking down. But I'm just thinking, even as I say that I'm looking to be more a part of the tarot community on YouTube. When I even think about my magic and that road, how singular it's been. And so I'm just in this funny place now where I see tarot readers pairing up together and doing those things. And I want to do that. Like I want to be a part of that. So this is my entry point into that. So the first question is, what got you into tarot? So for me, I've always been on the woo-woo side of things. I've always, even as a kid, I was pondering, why am I here? And I remember I would sit on my street and I would just think about, like, why am I here? And I would like ponder, am I here? What am I feeling? Like, what does it feel to be in my body? I don't know. I just have these weird thoughts and feelings of existence and being like acutely aware of my existence in certain moments. And so when I think about, though, when I got into tarot, so tarot was probably the last stop on the woo-woo train for me. Although I shouldn't say that, because there's some other things that I want to explore. But yeah, I never thought I would be doing tarot. I was saying that even yesterday to a friend of mine. Like, I never thought I would be doing readings for people, like, ever. Although, even as I said, even as a little child, I would ponder these mysteries of life, and I would also be giving adults advice, which I guess now we would say channeling, like the things that would come out of my mouth when I think about it were so strange, for a young person. It was like, where are these things coming from? I would be telling adults that they deserve to be happy and nobody could make them happy, and they could make themselves, they had to make their own selves happy. And I was like 11 years old saying this. Clearly, that was coming from somewhere else and coming through me, right? But around, I would say 1990, early 1990s, maybe around like 1992, I started paying attention to Dr. Wayne Dyer. I found Dr. Wayne Dyer, or Dr. Wayne Dyer found me, when he used to do those PBS specials, which, I mean, he did right up until the time that he transitioned. So, but yeah, and he was talking about how you could change your life, change your thoughts, change your life. And I was in my 20s as I age myself. And that appealed to me. I was going through a hard time. I was dealing with relationship abuse. Maybe I had left that relationship by that time, but I definitely was still going through stalking and things like that. So I needed something. And so here's this man saying, change your thoughts, change your life. And it was like, what are you talking about? I could change my thoughts and change my life. Like, yes, Dr. Dyer. So that immediately just started me on this cycle of reading everything that I could about metaphysics. So I started reading early Ayanna Van Sant, and just, again, I just started to devour New Thought, what they called New Thought, New Agey type things. And there was one crystal store in the town, well, in a couple of towns over from where I was living at that time. And a friend of mine took me there, and there was like books on astral projection. So I was like practicing astral projection when I was like 21 years old, and crystals and things like that. But I didn't get into it until really, so I left the state. I had to leave the state because of the stalking and all these things. Long story. We don't want this to become a different kind of tarot time or story time. But anyway, so I had to leave the state. And when I left the state, I had no family. Like, I found family, actually. Like, I come to find out, like, a cousin of mine lived right down the street from me, literally. But I didn't know that, and I didn't know her at the time. So I was away from everyone, and I began to ponder, who was I? Like, I wasn't anybody's sister in that state. I wasn't anybody's daughter in that state. Like, nobody knew me. So I could just like explore who I was. And I started going to poetry readings and all these things. And then I don't even know how I stumbled into, maybe I just looked up a crystal shop. I don't know. All I know is that I was living in Atlanta, and there's a part of Atlanta that's called Little Five Points, and they had this crystal store called Crystal Blue. And so I started hanging out at Crystal Blue, buying all of these things. All of my friends were like writers and things like that, like me. And so we would have these gatherings, and we would talk about crystals, and we would like go to the, I had an amazing loft apartment at that time. And we would go to the top of the factory that the loft was in. We watched the sunrise. We just would have these amazing, like, just really life-changing gatherings. And metaphysics was very much a part of that. And so, so I was in Atlanta for 13 years. So went completely down the rabbit hole. Had a really great friend that was like, started out as a chiropractor of mine, and she just became an amazing friend. And we would just sit and talk about UFOs and conspiracy theories in the parking lot, like, for hours. And then we saw What the Bleep Do We Know? If you all haven't seen that, oh my gosh. And so that was like another, that just opened me up to like a whole nother way of being, like quantum physics. So I went down the whole quantum physics rabbit hole, literally. And it's called What the Bleep Do We Know? And then there's a What the Bleep Do We Know down the rabbit hole. And I was down it. I'm still down it, even more now than then. So, so I still wasn't into tarot then, but I was doing heavy crystal work. I was doing yoga. I started doing yoga in like 1998, 1999, something like that. So I was heavy into yoga, and I was just, heavy into a new age lifestyle, like stopped eating meat. Well, that was really, I actually had stopped eating meat, some versions of meat, before I moved to Atlanta. But when I moved to Atlanta, I just full on like stopped eating meat and things like that. And just became a woo-woo person, And so then I left Atlanta, went to California, and moved to California. Then I moved to Tallahassee, Florida. And I used to have to travel all around Florida. And by then, like, one of my good friends at the time, she was a reader. So she used to give me readings all the time and do healing on me. And she had like a healing boot camp at one point. And so I had gone to, gosh, I can't even remember what part of Florida was. Was it Destin? I can't remember. It's not important. Maybe it was Fort Walton Beach. Anyway, I went for work. And so my job had like rented me this apartment on the beach, like on the beach. So we were like, oh my gosh, we're going to do like a huge ritual to Yemeya. We created this just huge feast for Yemeya. We brought it out to the ocean. We gave it to her. We called the water spirits in, and I remember that the water came like rushing up to our feet. And so that probably was my first foray into like elemental magic. And so we went to this little store, this little crystal store, and they had this crystal deck that I actually saw on another person's site. Um, and I was like, oh my gosh, that is my first tarot deck. This deck that this woman, and she was doing the same, taking it back to tarot. So I was like, oh, that really inspires me. So I'm going to do one too. So from her site, then I went to Bronwyn's site, and it was solidified. I was like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and do this, even though I'm like a month late, or maybe even two months late at this point. Anyway, better late than never. So I got this tarot deck. I'm trying to see if I can find the actual name of it. It was not, I didn't resonate with it at all. Yeah, I don't see the name of it. But anyway, I didn't resonate with it at all. And but I kept trying to use it. I kept trying to use it. And but it just didn't, like, the images were weird. Like when I first bought it, I thought, oh, these images are weird. Oh, I think it's the Aquarian Tarot.